Righto guys, just going to bring you this video which I wanted to do with the previous one, but it looked like I was running out of memory. The camera was beeping at me, so just freed up some storage, and I just quickly want to show you what's inside this Coolpower box here on the side of the Mack 6-cylinder. So they went, obviously naturally aspirated engines first, then along came the turbos. I mean, they had turbos at the start of the late 50s with the water-cooled turbos on the 673s, you know, sort of 205 horsepower thereabouts. And then they, well, I mean, I can only really speak for Australia, but through the last of the B models, we started to get a few C motors out, which was a 673 with a normal turbo, and then the Maxi 9 came out in, the first of them were probably 66 out here, but you know, took the road by storm in 67, 68, 237, and then the C motor, I think from around about the same time, the C motor and the Maxi 9 started using similar liners, similar bloody head gaskets and things like that, because the ones before didn't have fire rings in them. 711s, the old naturally aspirated ones, they used to drop the liners a little bit, and yeah, so they come up with a better head gasket and, you know, standardised on the liner. So they went from that 237, that was a fair while. Then in about 1974 out here, first one could have been 73, but about 74 the Coolpowers came out. So I've explained it before, but you've got this heat exchanger here. You've got two air intakes, and one will go down through your turbo and in over the top of this box, through the heat exchanger and back down into your engine. Whereas the second air intake comes through a fan that's driven by boost, but also sealed from boost. And it's driven through the heat exchanger up here, where my hand is, and it comes out here. So just imagine this like an intercooler. So it came out through there. So that air that's coming, you know, through the second air intake, through the fan, like tip turbine fan, through this box and out this heat exchanger, that's the air that's cooling the turbocharged air coming through the other way. So this has got two lots of porting, I suppose you'd say. Air that comes through it this way and air that goes through it down that way. But I'll show you that in a minute. So anyway, I'm going to take this lid off just because it had a rag on it, but this part here with the tip turbine fan clamps onto it, it was just open. Well, yeah, like I say, it had a rag, but it's a bit of dust and shit in there. And the same with this, because it didn't have a turbo on it, it's had that pipe coming over the top, and you wouldn't know if rats have run up that pipe or done anything like that. Like I say, it's been off the road for a long time, this truck. So just hopefully these things come off without too much trouble. Sometimes bolts going into alloy can give you a bit of grief. Now they've just got a couple of seals in them, which I'll show you when it's all apart. I didn't bring a parts container, so I'll put them in my pocket, which I'll forget later. It can sometimes give you a bit of trouble, but it looks fairly clean. Pretty sure there's no bolts at the back of this one. Now, if I was just normally getting a truck going, you know, for a first start type thing, or if it was all sealed up, if it had the tip turbine fan on it, the turbo pipe and everything like that, I wouldn't be going to this length of trouble, but it's just the fact that it's been open. I might just give it a bit of a clean up for that reason. thing that I didn't tell you, after they went from this heat exchanger here, the next stage was a slightly, I don't know if they were a slightly bigger box. I've never actually worked on one, but on top of this air heat exchanger they had a water to air exchanger as well, which had a couple of hoses in and out of it, and it again cooled the air. I know that's hard to believe, how you could cool air with, you know, engine temperature water, but yeah, that actually provided a bit more cooling as well as this exchanger. And then they did away with all that stuff and made a front mounted intercooler, which, you know, hindsight's pretty easy, but if that was me I would have invented that first. Now, they were a lot less complicated. Save that one for later. They're a lot less complicated, did away with all this stuff, it cleaned up the engine a lot. So, but anyway, so on the top of that, pretty basic, just got a rubber seal. I'm glad I pulled this apart. There's bloody mouse shit and old hornet's nest and stuff on top of it, so we'll all give it a bit of a clean out. And this heat exchanger will just come on out. Yeah, there's a bloody heap of dirt in here, so I'm very glad I've done this. So yeah, all that was bound straight for the intake. So yeah, you can see your two sets of fins on it. You see a certain shape that way, and then a certain shape on the off part to all of those fins. So just take note of, when you pull them apart, which is your outside, which is your top and all that sort of thing. When they've got the seals on them, it's pretty easy. Seals top and bottom. You can see it's got an end seal on it as well on either end. And there you go, there's your diagram anyway. Saves me doing a video, doesn't it? So yeah, that's about it. So I've got a vacuum cleaner here. I'm just going to give this a bit of a hit here. I'll blast that out with a bit of compressed air and put it back together, and we're one step closer to firing this thing up. So yeah, anyway, I hoped that video was going to go through with the other one, but unfortunately didn't quite work. But yeah, that'll do for this one.